two, a one, two, three, four. Hey everybody, and welcome to Ukulele 101 for the kindergarten through 5th grade general music teacher. If you're watching this, you're probably interested in learning how to play the ukulele and its uses in the music classroom. The purposes of this webinar is to provide you with some easy steps to start your journey in playing ukulele and its direct applications to the general music classroom. Before we begin, I want to take a minute to introduce the Fine Arts team at the Georgia Department of Education. In response to the need to have content-specific training for the fine arts, the Department of Education saw the need to hire staff members to represent the three largest fine arts content areas in Georgia. The first is Jessica Booth. She is the Fine Arts Program Manager and has a background in visual and media arts. She has been with the Department of Education for 6 years now, and in fact, before she was hired, there was no fine arts representation at the state level for over 20 years. We owe a great deal of gratitude to her for her tireless work in advocating for fine arts education at the state level. Next is Paul McLean. He is a fine arts program specialist at the Georgia Department of Education and has worked alongside Jessica for the past 2 years. His background is in theater and film. Lastly is myself, Casey Hall. I am the newest member to the team at the Georgia Department of Education and have a background in music. In fact, I began working with Jessica and Paul the day quarantine started, so it has been an interesting transition to say the least, but I am glad to be here to support fine arts teachers across the state. Here is our contact information if you ever need to reach us. Feel free to screenshot or write down our contact info. This information can also be found on the Georgia Department of Education Fine Arts website. Here's a brief overview of some of the topics we'll be discussing in this webinar. First, I'm going to take a minute to tell you about my own experience with ukulele and how it greatly impacted my music classroom. Next, we'll go over some basic ukulele tools and strategies for beginners like tuning your ukulele, strumming patterns, and chords. Then we'll talk about some of the many ways the ukulele can be incorporated into the general music classroom. And lastly, I'll introduce you to the Georgia Department of Education instructional resources for music and how they can be used to begin incorporating ukulele into your own music classroom. So let's get to jamming. Here's a little bit about my journey with ukulele. First off, I am no pro. I am probably just like you. I started out loving the ukulele from afar, by listening to other artists and musicians like Ingrid Michaelson or Israel Kamaka Viva Ole, and his version of Over the Rainbow. You've probably heard that. I remember always feeling calm and at ease as I listened to songs with ukulele in them, and it puts me in a good mood, and I've loved listening to music with ukulele in it ever since. It's fun. In fact, my chorus students actually sang Israel's version of Over the Rainbow at one of our spring performances one year as I accompanied them on ukulele. It was a really proud moment for me as a ukulele player, and it was a really proud and special moment that I got to experience with my students as we were kind of making music together. In the classroom, though, prior to learning the ukulele, when it came to actually accompanying my students as they sang, I'll be honest, I am not the best at piano or guitar. I mean, I was a clarinetist in college, for goodness sake. Of course, I did take the required keyboarding classes as well as some additional piano and guitar lessons, but they really didn't seem to adequately prepare me to accompany students as much as I would have liked. And I rarely accompanied students on the piano, and if I did, I was plunking through the chords as much as I could. In all honesty, I was trying, I was always running around my classroom as I taught, going from place to place or listening to students as I was walking around. So the idea of having to be stuck behind a piano all the time, as I accompanied, because I didn't have a guitar, seemed like a sticky situation that I knew I wouldn't like as a teacher. And, truthfully, when it came down to it, I really missed the connection that comes with creating and making music together with other people. So the fact that I kind of couldn't make music because I wasn't accompanying my students, and singing and playing together, really bummed me out. So long story short, I began looking for some other sort of instrument that could meet that need that I was aching for, and I knew it needed to be easy to learn and something that I could pick up quickly because I was a music teacher and I had no time. So after a bit of research, I decided to try learning the ukulele. I went to the music store, purchased a reasonably priced ukulele, went home, opened up my computer, and watched hours, and I mean hours, of tutorials on YouTube. And after lots of practice, here I am today. There are still things I'm learning about playing the ukulele, as I, enjoy playing outside of school as well. So if anything, this webinar will prove to you that I am not perfect and not a pro at the ukulele, and I'm still learning and growing as a ukulele player myself. So that brings us back to the basics. When I was researching online for my own ukulele, when I was first starting out, I was bombarded with tons of different brands, shapes, sizes, colors of wood, other features and pricings that I had no idea of where to even start. But I knew as a music teacher I needed two things. One, a good quality instrument that wouldn't break my very small bank at the time. And two, an instrument that would produce a good quality sound to accompany my students with as we created music together. So I went to a music store and asked for some advice, and they pretty much told me that I couldn't go wrong with a reasonably priced ukulele, as the quality of the ukulele is often connected by how much you're willing to pay for it, meaning the higher the quality, the higher the price. So I ended up settling on a tenor ukulele, mainly because it seemed like a my size ukulele that ended up being around $60 because that was within my budget at the time. And honestly, it worked for me. I still have this ukulele 7 years later, and it still plays like it did when I first got it. I could talk to you for hours about all the different kinds of ukuleles that are out there, but I won't put you through that today. I'll let you do your own research instead to see what works best for you. There's a ton of websites out there that you can browse and research to get an idea of what kind of ukulele is right for you. However, here are some quick things to consider as you do your own research, much like I did when I was purchasing mine. Number one is, what's your budget? How much are you willing to spend on this ukulele? The second is, what's the main purpose for playing the ukulele? Is it just for yourself, as like a hobby? Is it to accompany your students in the classroom? Is it for teaching others how to play the ukulele, or maybe professional gigs down the road? Is it for a student? Number three is, are there any special features that you'll need or want, like plugging the ukulele into an electric amp, or maybe you want a ukulele strap to hold it across your shoulders like me. Maybe you're looking for a specific size instrument like I did with a tenor ukulele. There's other sizes of ukulele as well. So ultimately, the decision of which ukulele to buy kind of rests with you. It's up to you to decide that. Now we're going to go over some of the more basic tools to learning the ukulele, as no Ukulele 101 course would be good without mentioning things like the parts of the ukulele, how to tune it, basic strumming patterns and chords. So let's get started. I went ahead and labeled the different parts of the ukulele for you so you wouldn't have to research them later on. You're welcome for that. Take about 30 seconds as I jam on my ukulele to look over the different parts of the ukulele so that you'll be able to recognize them when we talk about them later on in this webinar. You ready? Here we go. first get your ukulele, more than likely the strings will not be tuned to their appropriate pitches, so if you try to play it right out of the box, it probably is going to sound pretty bad. It's important to know how to tune your ukulele. As with any string instrument, it takes time for the strings to initially stretch out, so be patient when tuning your ukulele for the first time. It may take hours or days for your ukulele strings to be fully stretched out to their appropriate tension and pitch. Also, factors such as air temperature can increase or decrease the tension of your ukulele strings. So depending on how hot or cold it is in the room you're in, you may need to retune your instrument at different times. Colder temperatures will likely cause the strings to go sharp or raise in pitch because the strings actually contract and they create additional tension. Oppositely, warmer temperatures loosen the strings and the tension, causing the pitch to go down or go lower or be flat. I would highly recommend that you purchase an electronic tuner that actually clips to your ukulele. It looks something like this. These are really great and quick and easy to use. If you're in a noisy music classroom, they're especially awesome because they recognize the pitch of the string by their vibrations as you strum or pluck them rather than just by listening to them, especially if you have a classroom full of children who are talking. All you have to do is clip it to the top of your ukulele like this and start plucking the strings until you reach the desired pitch. So, what pitches do we tune it to? Let's learn what each string should be tuned to next. So I want to show you exactly how this electronic tuner works. You see I've clipped it already here at the top of the ukulele and I've turned it on. I've also flipped the little head around so that you can see the screen. It's going to be flipped on your side, but it would look correct obviously if I was looking at it. So once it's on there, then you can just start plucking your strings and you'll see how it's kind of like a spectrum scale of how sharp or how flat or how high or how low the pitch is. We want it to be dead center in the middle. So what I would do is I would keep plucking the string and adjusting the tuning peg to finding the appropriate pitch. So as you can see, getting a little bit higher. And there we go, we've hit it dead center, and that's where you want to be. So the first string that we're going to tune is the top string, or the string that's closest to your face, and it's tuned to the pitch G. So I'm going to use my tuner, I'm going to use my tuning pegs to adjust the pitch of the string until it gets dead center on my tuner. I don't want it to be too high or too sharp, and I don't want it to be too low or too flat. So I'm going to do that now. Looks like I'm a little sharp on my instrument, so I'm going to tune it lower to make it sure it's dead center. And I'll show you here, dead center, which is awesome. The second string you're going to tune is the C string. It is the one right below the G. You're going to tune it the same way you did the G. If it's too high, tune it down. If it's too low, tune it higher so it's dead center on the pitch C. So I'm going to do that now. So that's a little too high, so I'm going to tune it back down so it's dead center. Show you again. It looks like I'm still a little too high, so I'm gonna have to go down just a bit. There we go. We're gonna continue on with the third string, which is tuned to the pitch E. So I'm gonna do the same thing I have been doing. I'm gonna continuously pluck until I hit that note dead center on my tuner. Right now it says I'm a little flat or a little low, so I'm going to raise the pitch by tuning it on the tuning pegs. Not too bad. It says I'm a little, oh, there we go. Awesome. Once it hits that dead center mark, consistently, then then you're finished tuning that string. Now remember, if this is a new ukulele, you may tune it to dead center E, but then because the strings will ultimately stretch out because they're new strings and they're not used to that tension, the pitch will automatically get lower, and that might be within the first couple of minutes of you starting to tune. So you might have to continuously tune your ukulele when you first get it, so those strings can stretch out to the tension that they need to be at. So the last string we're going to tune is the bottom string, or the fourth string, the one that is farthest away from your face or on the opposite side of the ukulele. The string's pitch is the pitch A, and so I'm going to do the same thing like the other ones. I'm going to continuously play until I get the appropriate pitch. So right now the tuner is saying that it is flat or a little low, so I'm going to use my tuning pegs to raise the pitch until I get dead center on the pitch A. And I'll show you just for proof. Awesome. Should sound something like this. So lovely when you finish tuning. These are the 4 most common pitches for this tuning of a ukulele. There are others that you can research on your own time, but these are the most common that you're going to use as you first start out learning ukulele. So now we've gotten to some basic chords, which is exciting, right? But before we start, let's talk about numbers. The numbers of your fingers are important because depending on what fret or what string, different fingers are required. So the first finger is your index finger, your second finger is your middle finger, your third finger is your ring finger, and your fourth finger is your pinky finger. And we use those in different combinations to create chords on our fretboard itself. The second thing we want to talk about is the frets, and the science behind them. Actually is kind of fascinating if you never really thought about it. Because if I don't put any fingers on the fretboard itself and I just play a note, the pitch will never change, right? It will stay this pitch until I change it. But how do I change it, right? That's the question here. Well, that's where frets come in. Frets ultimately shorten the strings of the instrument by pressing down on a fret. And I don't mean like actually like cutting the string to make it literally shorter. I'm talking more figuratively, because what happens if I press my finger down on this fret right here, it ultimately stops the vibration from happening from the nut to the bridge down here, right? So it stops it right here. So the only thing that's vibrating is from where my finger is on this fret all the way down to the bridge, which is ultimately shorter than from the nut to the bridge. So what happens in science and in music that are kind of connected is that things that are smaller or shorter more than likely make a higher pitch. Things that are longer or bigger make lower pitches. So the fact that this is longer from the nut to the bridge, which is what we call an open string with no fingers, but when I start to press my finger on each fret, it gets a little higher and higher and higher as I go down the fretboard, because I'm making the string shorter, and it sounds like this. And so on and so forth, right? And that happens for every string that you could play on the ukulele. And so on and so forth, right? So we use the combinations of the frets and the fingerings to create basic chords. And one of the easiest ones that we can do is the chord C. And so you can see I have the picture up there on the screen for you, but we're going to use our ring finger, the third finger, and we're going to put it on the 1, 2, 3, third fret. So if you go ring finger, first fret, second fret, third fret, and press down, that's what you're going to use. And you can use your thumb back here to push against the back of the fretboard to give you some kind of stability as you're playing. And then all you have to do is just do some downstrokes or downstrums on your ukulele, and you're playing a chord. Sounds great, right? So now we're going to learn another chord, another one finger chord, which is A minor. Instead of using the A string, we're going to use the G string, as you can see on the chord chart right there. And then we're going to use our second finger, which is our middle finger, and we're going to place it on the second fret. So I'm going to find my G string, I'm going to use my middle finger, and I'm going to find my second fret, and that's all I'm going to put on the instrument, and I'm going to strum down. It's going to sound like this. Such a good chord, but it sounds so sad, doesn't it? And that's another chord that you've already learned with one finger on the ukulele. So props to you for learning 2 chords already. So we have C, which again is 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the A string. And then you can take a break, re-find your string that's labeled G, and then put your second finger, which is your middle finger, and strum on the 2nd fret. Just like that. And you could transition between the two. As slow as you need, and this might be too fast, and that's totally fine. But we're going to continue on and learn another chord. So we have 2 more one finger chords that I also wanted to mention, because one finger chords tend to be easier than more fingers on the fret, especially as a beginner. So the first one I want to talk to you about is C7, which again is your first finger, which is your index finger on the A string and on the 1st fret, right here. And then the A7 chord, which is also your first finger, but you're doing it on the 1st fret on the C string, which is the 2nd string. Okay, so now we've learned 4 different chords on the ukulele with just one finger on each of them, which is pretty cool. We've learned C, we learned A minor, we've learned C7, and we learned A7. Look at us. We're basically pros so far. Now that we've learned those, you can pause this video and practice as you need on those chords, but we're going to move on now to some 2-finger chords. Now that we've kind of mastered those 1-finger chords, it's time to add another finger to it to create even more chords. The first one and the easiest one of the 2-finger chords is the F chord, because it's actually really similar to the A minor chord. If you remember, the A minor chord is your 2nd finger on the top string on the 2nd fret. Sounds like this. And all you have to do to make it an F chord is add one more finger. That finger is your 1st finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret. So it should look something like this. So that's just A minor, and then I'm adding this one right here, and then that's F. Okay, sounds cool, right? It's really easy actually to transition between A minor and F, because all it is just lifting that index finger or that 1st finger up and down off the string. So watch this. Here's F. I take the 1st finger off, it's A minor. Put it back on, it's F. Take it off, it's A minor. And so on and so forth. And I can practice making that transition as slow as I need to, okay? The other chord is also very similar to A minor that we're going to learn, but it's A major. And the only thing you need to do, instead of putting your 1st finger on the E string or the 3rd string, you're going to put your 1st finger on the 2nd string, and that creates A major. Sounds like this. If I take that A off, it becomes A minor. If I put my 1st finger back on, it's A major. Okay, and you can practice in between those as well. Now we're going to go over some easy 3-finger chords. Now these aren't harder or easier than the 1-finger or 2-finger chords. It's just more fingers you have to work with on the instrument itself. But they're still fairly easy and basic chords that you should learn. So the first one we're going to learn is the G chord. And on the G chord you're using the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fingers. And you're going to do these on 2 different frets. So the first finger, is going to be placed on the C string, as you can see on the G chord chart here. Your 2nd finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the A string, right here, as you can see. And then your ring finger, or the 3rd finger, is going to go on the E string on the 3rd fret. So you have 2 fingers on the 2nd fret and 1 finger on the 3rd fret. And when you combine the position of your hand here, it sounds like this and makes a G chord. Sounds lovely, right? And then we want to do the 2nd chord on the chart that you see here is the G7. And it's kind of almost looks like it's flipped opposite, but the organization of your fingers are a bit different in order to create a G7 chord. So in order to do that, you need 1, 2, and 3 again. Your 1st finger is going to go on the 1st fret of the E string. Your 2nd finger is going to go on the C string, 2nd fret, and your 3rd finger, or your ring finger, is going to go on the 2nd fret of your A string. And when you strum all those together, it sounds like this. Okay, so that's G7, and we have G, going back to that. Sounds lovely. And back to G7. Nice. Now it may take some time to kind of figure all of this out. Again, do it at your own pace and do it slow and do it well, so that when you are practicing it, you are making it permanent and not making small mistakes that are going to keep building up as you keep going on. So the more you practice and the slower you practice, the better you're going to become at learning these chords. It does take some time to kind of memorize what they are in your head as you're going along and transitioning between one chord to another. Doing certain chord progressions for songs that we're going to talk about soon. But the more you know these basic chords offhand, the better it's going to be when you start learning a song that you really want to listen to, or a simple song that you may be teaching in your own classroom. So now we finally get to the part where we can start strumming on our ukulele. We've learned the harmony that comes with playing ukulele, which is the chords. We are soon going to learn about some melodies that we can sing as we play our ukulele. And now we're going to talk about the rhythm section of the ukulele, which really is the strumming patterns. And just like rhythms can change the feel or the style of the music being played, so do rhythm patterns on a ukulele. So I have a couple of them that we're going to go through today, about 12 of them actually. We're going to go through them together. Now, if I do this too fast, it's totally fine for you to pause the video and play it at your own speed and then continue the video as we go along. Another thing I want to mention is, as I do this, when you're strumming, you're really keeping that subdivided beat, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and going along. So when you watch this video, you're going to see this happening on my ukulele all the time: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. But what you're going to actually hear is a different rhythm based on the down strum and the up strums that you see displayed on the screen for you. So the symbol that looks like a table is called a down strum, and the symbol that looks like a V is the up strum. So every time you see a down strum, you're going to actually down strum on your ukulele, and every time you see an up strum, you're going to up strum on a ukulele. Now, there's different ways that you actually can strum on the ukulele. Some people like to use their thumb and their finger kind of attached like this. They use that to strum down the ukulele and strum up the ukulele. For me, what works for me best is just using my thumb going down and up. That's just me. As you continue to develop your own kind of way to play the ukulele, there are different ways to do it, and it's up to you to decide what ultimately works best for you. One last thing I forgot to tell you about strumming on the ukulele. In order to save energy and not to tire your arm out so much as you go up and down on your ukulele, you want to make sure that you use a wrist motion as you strum on the ukulele, as opposed to like a karate chop arm or almost like the robot dance. You don't want to do that because it's going to take a lot of energy to do that, and you won't be able to strum as fast once you get better at strumming. So especially as as music teachers, we see multiple classes a day, your arm's going to tire out if you use that full arm motion. So make sure to use the wrist motion, something like this. So we're going to go through these one by one, and we're going to play them together. And again, if you need a pause, that's totally fine. We're going to do them on the chords of C and G. If you're having issue with transitioning between them from C to G, it's okay, again, to pause the video, play your G chords rhythm, and then transition to your G chord, and then play the G chord rhythm back to C, back to G, just so you get used to that transition from chord to chord, because that is a really big part of playing the ukulele. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, go at your own pace, go at your own speed, your own tempo, whatever works for you. And let's get to jamming. Here's number one. Down, 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 down. Here's number two. Down, up, 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 down, up. Here's number three. Down, down, up, 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 down, down, up. Here's number four. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Here's number five. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Here's number six. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. Here's number seven. Down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. Here's number eight. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. Here's number nine. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Here's number 10. Down, up, 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 down, up. Here's number 11. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Here's number 12. Down, up, 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 down, up. So I want to last things I want to talk about in regards to strumming is actually a term called chucking, which is basically you're creating a percussive sound that's created by your strumming dampened strings on your ukulele. And it's really almost like you have a drummer in this one-person band that we've created, kind of like we were talking about. The melody is in your voice as you sing, the harmony is in the chords, the rhythm is in your strumming patterns, and then chucking is just this added percussive technique that you can use on your ukulele. Now, I am still working on my chucking technique myself, so I wanted to mention this to you, that you can go and do your own research, watch some tutorials on your own to get better at chucking yourself, but I wanted to go ahead and kind of do a little bit of tutorial for you today. So basically I'm just going to have open chords. I'm not even going to worry about doing a chord on my hand. I just want to get that chucking. So I'm going to move my little screen down so you can kind of see a little bit better. And basically what you're going to do is do down strums and then kind of hit the ukulele. It's going to look like this. Can you do that with me? Now, as you get used to that, you can continue on with that by going a little bit faster. And as you continue developing that skill, you're going to want to do it as quickly as you can. So it makes that little chucking sound that you hear, and this is a really like popular technique amongst people who play ukulele, and so it sounds like this. Again, I'm not perfect at it. I'm still working on it myself, but I wanted to mention it to you. When you add this into a strumming pattern, such as down, up, chuck, up, that kind of sounds like funny to say up, chuck, but anyways, it sounds something like this. Down, up, chuck, up, down, up, chuck, up, down, up, chuck. Excuse me for that last one, but you get what the idea. So let's do that together. So again, that pattern is down, up, chuck, up. I'll do it slowly. 1, 2, together, go. Down, up, chuck, up. Down, up, chuck, up. Down, up, chuck, up. Down, up, chuck, up. And then you just continually get faster and faster as you get more and more comfortable with it. And it'll sound something like this. So I urge you to continue developing your chucking skills. Again, like I was saying, and as you just heard, it's something that I'm still developing as I was working on this presentation, and I still want to learn more about it. So I urge you to do the same as you continue on your journey with learning the ukulele. Now I wanted to provide you with some easy 2-chord folk songs that you may or may not have heard before, just to start, practicing all of these things we've been talking about, the strumming patterns, the transitioning between chords, and singing while you're doing all of that. A good step, if you can't sing while you're playing or you're having trouble doing that, is to hum while you're strumming your chords. That's a good step to kind of getting the vocal aspect into the playing of the ukulele as well. So some of these songs, these are very traditional, folk songs that you probably have heard before or learned before or maybe taught in your own classroom. So I wanted to provide you with some examples of them to know that these are kind of some easy starting out songs to learn on the ukulele itself. And so the first one I'm going to do is Michael Finnegan. There once was a man named Michael Finnegan. He had whiskers on his chin again. The wind blew up and blew them in again. Poor old Michael Finnegan begin again. Very easy. That's just F chord and the C chord. That can, and the same thing can happen to things like Mary Had a Little Lamb. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. So those are just some easy songs to do. You could hum it instead of singing it if you needed to. once you get comfortable with doing with the humming, you can start adding the lyrics to the songs that you're learning, and then you can start doing them in class with you. So I wanted to provide you with a video example of me singing the song Hello There, which I use a lot of the times with my younger students as a kind of a community building, get together, welcome song, welcome to class, it's time to make some music, and it sounds something like this. Take a look. Are you ready to sing our welcome song?
Yeah!
Here we go. Best singing voices, right?
Like that.
Hello there.
Hello there.
How are you?
How are you?
It's so good.
It's so good
To see you.
to see you.
Let's sing and
Let's sing and
be happy.
be happy.
That
That
we're
we're all here together again.
louder this time.
That we're all here together again.
Last time.
But we're all together again.
Cock-a-doodle-doo. That's right. What if we did it faster?
Yes!
Hello there.
Hello there.
How are you?
How are you?
It's so good
It's so good
to see you.
to see you.
Let's sing it. Left what?
Let's sing again.
Let's sing it.
Let's sing it.
Be happy.
Be happy.
Ready?
But we're all
Wait. Where did it go? That we're all here So I hope you enjoyed that video of me and my students kind of just enjoying, singing and making music together, and how I incorporated the ukulele into that activity. I could have easily done the piano or another instrument, but I really like the kind of playfulness that the ukulele brings, and the kids loved it. So it became such a tradition in my classroom that even my fifth graders would ask, "When are we going to do that welcome song?" It just became such a part of my classroom, and I will never forget those moments. But I also wanted to provide you with some easy 3-chord songs using the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord, or usually probably C, F, and G, and how to incorporate those into kind of like the next step from the 2-chord songs to the 3-chord songs, and continuing on with your learning of the ukulele. So I'm going to do Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars. Everyone knows it. And you can look up, there's so many other 3-chord songs that you could also use, or start learning and incorporating in your own music classroom. But here's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So one of the last things I want to kind of just mention is different uses for the ukulele in the music classroom, other than like the most obvious, which is accompaniment. You're accompanying your students as they're singing a song or doing a game or something like that. I think there's other uses for the ukulele that you can use to continue the learning in your classroom. And one of those is using an attention getter or a signal. Maybe you do something like 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me, or you have some sort of other attention getter. I know, and a lot of times in my classroom, I would lose my voice often because I was struggling to refocus the class if we were doing some sort of activity. So I thought of, well, why not use my ukulele? I have it on me like all the time with my strap and stuff like that, so I might as well use it since I got it, and it may ultimately save my voice as I was doing it. So I would do things like vamping on my instrument to get their attention. And over, obviously, I would be, in reinforcing that kind of thing. When you hear this means to look at me.
It's like my turn to have the attention in the room, especially if we're doing some sort of like, organized chaos activity that causes them to kind of, take control of the classroom in an organized way, obviously. So it's just an attention getter to get them to make them look at me, like I was saying. But that's not just like something I would do one off. It had to be something that I taught over and over again and used multiple times so they got comfortable, one, hearing it, and two, recognizing, oh, that means, oh, I remember that means look at Mr. Hall when I hear that. So it's also kind of some ear training if you think about it as well. You can change those like signal kind of sayings like 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me, into some sort of song or some sort of riff on your ukulele. I know I used to do stop, collaborate, and listen. A lot of the times in my classroom, that was a signal for me. And so, changing that into some sort of, riff on your ukulele is something you could do as well. Another thing that is pretty cool about the ukulele, or really any instrument that you incorporate into your music classroom, is how you can use it to reinforce the musical concepts that you are teaching. So a lot of the times, if we're especially talking about things like tempo or something, and as they're walking into the classroom, I'm playing a slow tempo, and I ask them, okay guys, I want you to listen to what I'm playing, and I want you to move what you hear, basically just kind of reinforcing the concept of tempo. And I might change the tempo and go, and it could be something as simple as just playing it on one chord, but reinforcing those concepts, or even things like harmony, like what kind of harmonies are sound different ways, what kind of mood are you doing, just talking about like the whole major and minor thing. So there's a lot of ways you can just use a simple instrument like the ukulele to reinforce the concepts that you're teaching in the music classroom. And I think that's a really cool and like important feature, not just for the ukulele, but any instrument that you can use in your classroom. And then lastly, things like relaxation. I know sometimes I have been known to just pick up my ukulele during my morning duty, which was out in front of the main lobby for everybody. I was kind of watching kids come in from the cafeteria and watching them come from the front doors, from the car ready line, and I would just kind of play some like relaxing music. And purely just for that relaxation, kind of setting the mood, just giving them relax and at ease. And a lot of the times, if a class came in super, super rowdy, maybe they came in from recess, or maybe they came from the gym, who knows, that, I would just start off class with like, telling kids calm down as I was playing the ukulele and stuff like that. So there's, other ways I'm sure that you can use the ukulele in your music classroom other than just accompaniment for the most obvious sake. But I wanted to just kind of highlight that, kind of like put that little bug in your ear, to kind of rethink the ukulele not just as an accompaniment instrument, but as something you can actually use, different strategies that you may already be using, but incorporating that using the ukulele itself. So hope that helps. Here at the Georgia Department of Education, our goal is to support you in as many ways as we possibly can. In doing so, we have developed music instructional resources for the following courses so that you can pull from them if you ever need. General Music, kindergarten through 6th grade, with grades 7th and 8th coming soon. Band, chorus, orchestra, music technology, social emotional learning, and life skills in music, grades kindergarten through 5th, as well as remote or distance learning plans. For each content area, the instructional resources include curriculum maps, which map out the learning that will happen over the course of an entire school year. Each curriculum map contains a list of standards and elements for each unit, as well as key components to be covered within that unit. Within those curriculum maps are unit plans. Each unit plan includes a unit focus, standards and elements listed by artistic processes, a list of lesson plans within that unit, example assessments, and a list of all supplemental resources available within that unit. Within each unit plan are multiple lesson plans in which music concepts are taught to students. Each lesson plan contains recommended pacing, enduring understanding, and technical focus, all Georgia Standards of Excellence covered in that lesson, sample assessments, major concepts and vocabulary, differentiated learning, teacher and student materials, as well as lesson structure, student, teacher, and procedures, essential questions, opening, creating, and closing parts of a lesson. Most lessons include an accompanying PowerPoint presentation, student manipulatives, handouts, worksheets, and activities. We also were sure to include some example assessments such as diagnostic assessment, which answers what do students already know, formative assessment, which answers where are our students at currently in their learning process, and summative assessment, which answers have students mastered the standard that they are learning. So now's the part where I get to tell you where you can find all of these great resources. And there's a couple of ways you can find them. The first way is to go through your school district's statewide longitudinal data system, or SLDS platform, the one where your TEKS observations are housed, and click on TRL, or Teacher Resource Link. Then, using the filters, search for your music content area. The second is to go directly to georgiastandards.org and click on the direct link to the public TRL as shown in the image on the left. The easiest way to find these instructional resources for music is by going to your preferred search engine and typing in GaDOE Fine Arts in the search box and clicking the first link that you see on the results page. This will take you directly to our website. If you scroll down the web page, you'll see our upcoming professional development opportunities and any previously recorded webinars that you may have missed. And don't worry if you did, you can request access to these links to the recordings to view on your own time. As you continue to scroll, you'll find the instructional resources for music grades K through 12. Clicking on the link will take you to a downloadable hyperlink document with all of the types of resources that were discussed earlier in this presentation for you to pull ideas, additional resources, strategies, and activities for you to start jamming on ukulele in your kindergarten through 5th grade general music classroom. Here's how you can use the music instructional frameworks from the Georgia Department of Education to start jamming in your own music classroom. Once you download the document from our website, you can see all of the instructional resources that are currently available to use for free. To find the welcome song and activity Hello There that was shown in the video that we watched earlier in the webinar, it can be found in the Kindergarten Instructional Resources under Unit 1, Lesson 1. By clicking on the lesson plan entitled Welcome to Music, it will automatically download the lesson plan that Hello There is used for you to view. You can also click on Lesson Plan 1 materials entitled Hello There Activity, and it will download a Word document with the musical notation, additional lyrics, or accompanying activities associated with the song for you to incorporate into your own music classrooms. In addition to these great instructional resources and professional development, we also have an exciting opportunity coming up that we hope you participate in. Take a look at this short commercial that explains a little bit more about this upcoming opportunity on GaDOE Community. Do you oftentimes feel lonely in your school building or district as a fine arts educator?
Do you find it hard to feel supported by teachers and administrators who don't fully understand our specialized fine arts content areas?
Do you ever wish there was support, guidance, and even encouragement from other fine arts teachers and fine arts administrators from across the state of Georgia?
Do you crave collaboration and connection with other like-minded fine arts teachers? Then we have the perfect place for you. Hey everyone, and welcome to GaDOE Community. My name is Casey Hall, and I am one of the Fine Arts Education Program Specialists here at the Georgia Department of Education. For most content areas, there are teams of teachers either in the school building or in the district that can provide one another with ways to collaborate, support, and connect so that they do not feel alone. However, for some fine arts teachers, we are often the only teacher in the school building and sometimes even in the district who teaches our specialized fine arts content areas. So it can sometimes feel rather lonely and difficult to find a community of teachers in our schools and districts that truly understand our unique perspective. With that being said, the Fine Arts team at the Georgia Department of Education wanted to offer fine arts teachers across the state of Georgia an opportunity to collaborate and connect. On GaDOE Community,
fine arts teachers will be able to join groups of like-minded teachers who also teach their unique and specialized fine arts content areas to share thoughts, resources, strategies, and encouragement as a way of professional learning so that no one would have to feel alone. So what is GaDOE Community? It's a platform that has been developed by the Georgia Department of Education as a way to provide content-specific professional learning communities, or PLCs, for teachers across the state of Georgia to collaborate, connect, and support one another on a virtual platform. Much like social media platforms where you can join various groups on topics you are interested in, GaDOE Community offers teachers the chance to join communities of like-minded teachers in their own specific content areas to provide support and guidance, share ideas, resources, and strategies, and offer encouragement as needed for one another. So where do we sign up? It's easy. Head over to the GaDOE Community website at community.gadoe.org and create an account using your district, RESA, or DOE email account to be approved. Once you've logged in, take some time to explore the platform. Check out some of the cool collaboration features such as the news feed, where all of the activity on GaDOE Community is housed, much like a social media activity feed. Make your profile look awesome by uploading a professional picture of yourself, adding your nickname or handle, as well as any other information you'd like to add. Be sure to click on Groups and search for the fine arts community groups in which you'd want to join. If you get lost, check out the user guide for additional information on the platform.
Side effects of GaDOE Community include happiness, support, prosperity, collaboration, stress relief, joy, networking, peace of mind, guidance, euphoria, new friends, optimism, connection, prosperity, strong support system, advice when needed, new opportunities, professional growth, and much, much more.
If you have any questions or need additional support in navigating the GaDOE Community platform or creating an account, be sure to contact me either by using my email address below, or once you've created an account, message me on the platform and I'll respond to you as soon as I can. I can't wait to connect with you on the GaDOE Community platform, and I'll hopefully see you there soon. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that comical commercial about our upcoming virtual professional learning communities. To briefly recap, GaDOE Community is a brand new platform just for Georgia teachers to communicate and collaborate with one another on content-specific community groups. The groups we currently have are general music, band, chorus, orchestra, and music technology. These community groups are led by teacher leaders in their respective fields across the state of Georgia and will provide monthly recorded webinars for you to view at your own pace and engage in discussion and support as needed through the community groups. I urge you to sign up using your school district email as soon as you can, as our monthly webinars have begun and discussion posts have already been posted. Hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching this webinar. I hope you learned a lot about the ukulele and will start your own journey incorporating it into your music classroom. Here's my contact information if you would like to discuss this further or have any additional questions, suggestions, or comments. I'd love to chat with you. I would ask that if you have a moment to please fill out our brief feedback survey by scanning the QR code on your phone or type the link in your browser. One of our goals at the Georgia Department of Education Fine Arts team is to provide relevant and informative, content-specific professional development for fine arts teachers across the state. So any feedback that you could provide us would be greatly appreciated and highly beneficial so that we can provide you with the best professional development possible. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day.
A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4.